Hey you guys, it's Britt. Today we're here with a big update on the Frankie and Jodi Hildebrandt cases that are currently unfolding. I wanted to talk to you guys about everything that happened in court today and some important updates that might have something to do with the way that this is covered in the future, but we're going to talk all about it. So if you're interested, please keep watching. Right, you guys, so we have two updates to talk about today. The first one is the fact that the court hearing that was supposed to happen today was actually postponed due to copious amounts of info. Obviously, we were all kind of, maybe not all, but a lot of us were waiting around to see what was going to happen today. Was Ruby going to get out on bail? A lot of the professionals and people that kind of understand the legal system in Utah were in agreement that Ruby could have gotten out today. There was a possibility that she could have been released. That hearing has been postponed until October. So that's the update that I want to go over first. This comes from KUTV. It says the hearing in the Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt criminal case that was scheduled to take place Monday, September 18th has been postponed. Officials of the Utah State Courts cited additional time needed to review copious amounts of discovery as the reason for the delay. The court date, initially scheduled for 11 a.m. today, was postponed after attorneys filed a stipulated motion to continue the review hearing after October 5th. I'm glad that they are both going to be staying right in jail until at least October 5th. I think that is where both of them belong. That is my opinion. Nobody needs to agree or disagree, but I think that for right now, they are both right where they belong. I think they're doing just fine, not being around anyone else in society, specifically any of Ruby's children. It continues and says, it was previously confirmed that Judge John Walton of the 5th District Court in St. George would discuss whether the two women would be allowed out on bail during this hearing. And again, this is the one that was postponed. So that is the hearing that is now not going to take place until next month. So we have some time to wait on that. I take that as good news. I am curious about what's the copious amounts of info. What is all of that? Is that, and obviously this is where speculation comes in, and I don't want to speculate too much because I think there's enough of that going on social media, but is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? I don't really know how to feel about that. You guys tell me how you feel down below. Now I want to talk about the judge considering making the custody case private, which could... Here's the thing. I'm a little bit in the middle on this. I usually have a pretty strong opinion on these kinds of things, but let me explain to you guys what's going on, and then I will explain why I'm kind of in the middle. This comes from the Salt Lake Tribune, which obviously I will link everything down below in case you guys want to read it for yourselves. But it says Franke appeared virtually from jail early Monday at a child welfare hearing in Provo concerning her 4 children in state custody, during which attorneys discussed whether or not to seal the case. Kevin Franke, Ruby's estranged husband, and their oldest daughter Shari, who is 20, also attended the hearing alongside their attorneys. No cameras were allowed in the courtroom. Judge Bazell heard a brief statement from the Children's Counsel. When the hearing began around 9 a.m., attorney Virginia Blanchard argued to restrict public access to the child custody proceedings. She said continuing with open hearings was contrary to their best interest. We're talking about children, she said. We're not talking about adults. Children's sensitive information that has been published worldwide. Blanchard's statement comes after another juvenile court hearing earlier this month where Frankie, again appearing virtually from jail, accused 2 of her children of being abusive to other children. Kevin Franke also attended that hearing. Ruby Franke and her business partner Jodi, a licensed blah blah blah, were arrested in August. We've gone over all of that. Police records indicate that 20-year-old Shari Franke had called the police to the family's Springville home at least once before, telling police she was concerned that her siblings had been left home alone for days. Bizzell on Monday asked both Kevin and Shari Franke's counsel to submit briefs on whether the custody proceedings should remain public. Making it private could limit Shari Franke's access. Bizzell said that she understood media interest in the case and wanted to consider the question from all angles before ruling. So it sounds like this judge is, trying to be fair and, not just make this decision right now and this is the way it's going to be. The reason that I'm concerned and I'm a little bit in the middle with this is because I really, 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 in my opinion, I think that Shari Franke should be fully involved. I don't think that she should be limited. I don't think that she should not be allowed to be there in person. I think that she is a huge part to this entire case, and I just don't think that it would be the best thing to shut her out. And if it goes private and if it's sealed, then she would be shut out. And that is why I'm in the middle. Because while I understand the sensitive nature and just all of the traumatic details of this case unfolding publicly, basically the only reason that I'm sitting in the middle is not because I want the public to be able to, make a bunch of reactions and do all this kind of stuff. I am sitting in the middle strictly because of Shari Franke. There's a virtual mediation to discuss this matter, which is scheduled for October 11th at 9 a.m. at an in-person pretrial hearing outside Randy Custer, good old Randy having to do the press tour and talk to anyone who will listen. He said that he and Kevin Franke were working to get his family healed and get these kids back where they should be. Custer said they should be with a family member, preferably Kevin. Mr. Custer, I completely disagree. I think that that is absolutely insane. I really, really hope that, my God, I hope that something can be done to make sure that these kids do not go back with Kevin. And I typically would not take such a strong stance on that. But Kevin Franke went over 1 year without fulfilling his fatherly role and doing what was in his legal right to stop things before they got to the point where literally his son was escaping from Jodi Hildebrandt's house with duct tape around his limbs and being to the point of malnutrition where it literally sent the neighbor into shambles when he saw this child. Kevin Franke failed his role as a father, period. He continued and said, "We're going to work hard, Kevin and I, to convince the state that he's an incredible father." And he was before all of this happened and they became separated. Please. He continued and said, but in the meantime, he's just working hard at getting himself back in position to be able to take these kids and raise them as a good father would. You know what a good father would have done? A good father would have done everything within his legal right to make sure that his children were not being abused by his wackadoodle estranged ex-wife or soon-to-be ex-wife or whatever you want to call it. Kevin and Ruby have been separated for 14 months, Custer said, and Kevin recently moved back into the Springville home. Custer said he preferred that the future hearings be closed to the public. As to the adults, I don't think anyone cares, but as to the kids, these kids have been through a lot, and to have all this media exposure to them individually as little kids who have been manipulated, I think it's better held privately, he said. He added that Shari Franke has a right to be in the courtroom, but added Bizzell will make the final decision. Custer declined to comment on the allegations Ruby Franke aired in the previous child welfare hearing, saying it went into a lot of detail and things about kids that shouldn't be discussed. And then it also discusses how the other court hearing was also postponed.
Can we talk to you for a few minutes?
Do you mind, Kevin?
No, go ahead.
All right.
Does it mean to you that the eldest daughter was in attendance today?
I think she has a right to be there. I don't know what the court will ultimately determine about that, but I think she has a right to be a part of these proceedings. She's part of the family. We're just, as we said in the beginning, we're just working toward trying to get this family healed and get these kids back where they should be. They need to be with a family member, preferably Kevin, and that's what our goal is. We're working hard, Kevin and I, to convince the state that he's an incredible father, as he was before all this happened, and they became separated. But in the meantime, he's just working hard on getting himself back in position to be able to take these kids and raise them as a good father would.
Would you prefer this piece be close to the public?
You know what? As to the adults, I don't think anybody cares. But as to the kids, I absolutely think these kids have been through a lot, and to have all this media exposure to them individually as little kids who have been manipulated, I think it's better held privately. Okay.
Thanks, Randy. Good to see you again.
I don't like the idea of Shari Franke being shut out of this case. I don't like that idea. I don't like, if there was some kind of stipulation where Shari could still be involved and everybody else in the public is shut out, I think that would be, fine. Like, hey, we as public and commentary channels or the press or other creators on social media, we are not entitled to watch this case unfold in real time. Who is entitled to know and be fully involved in this is Shari Franke. So we'll just have to see what happens. I saw Shari walking out of the courtroom today and it sent me into tears. It honestly did, because nobody should have to be going through what this family is going through. That's kind of an obvious point to make. I know it's not groundbreaking, but so many people are using this as just a form of entertainment, a form of just a way to kind of gas up the rumor mill. And at the end of the day, as I've said in just about every other video, I constantly think about these kids and the lifelong trauma that they're going to have to carry with them because of who? Ruby and Jodi, and Kevin not stepping in and filling his shoes as a father. So that's how I feel about all of this as of right now. Of course, I will continue to provide updates as long as updates are made available to the public. But tell me how you guys feel about the whole, should it be sealed off? Should it be open to the public? How do you guys feel? And how do you feel about a stipulation of it's sealed off to the public, but it still allows Shari Franke to be fully involved? How would you guys feel about that? Because I think that would kind of be, that would be the better case scenario. I don't think it's fair to have Shari and, even Ruby's sisters, if they can play a role in making sure that these kids are taken care of, then, I think that other people do need to be involved. So, I don't know. But hopefully I explained myself and you guys understand why I'm kind of sitting in the middle. But I will be looking at the comments to see what you guys have to say. So for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.